So since it's Disney week, I decided to throw out a bonus Disney review. Um, the only other Disney review that I've previously done on Instagram that I haven't covered on YouTube yet, or one of the two, um, come from this pack here. The Emperor's New Groove we're going to talk about today. I'll do the Kronk's New Groove review another time. But I have reviewed both of them. They're the only other two Disney movies that I've done previously to this week besides Hercules. So let's talk about that. It's directed by Mark Dindal. It's a 2000 animated fantasy adventure. It stars David Spade as a cocky Emperor Cusco, Patrick Warburton as everyone's favorite character, Kronk. You know, the guy who does his own theme music. How can't you love him? Eartha Kitt, who originally played Catwoman back in the 60s in the Adam West TV show, plays the beloved Yzma, John Goodman as Pancha, and Wendy Malick as Chicha, sorry. It's an 85 on Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty damn earned, in my opinion. And off of a budget of $100 million, only made $163 million at the box office. This movie marks the beginning of what's known as the post-Renaissance era, which ended with Tarzan, and as I said, began with The Emperor's New Groove. And it's a completely underrated movie. So underrated, in fact, I have a fun fact that's actually really sad. So, fun fact, there's no Emperor's New Groove merchandise at Disney World. I'm sure you can find movies if they sell. I've never been to Disneyland or Disney World, so I don't know if they sell DVDs there or Blu-rays of their movies, so there could be at least a film for it, but there's no t-shirts, no action figures, no stuffed animals, nothing. Not even a ride. It doesn't even get a ride. Before I talk about the movie, though, something I didn't talk about in my review, which I wish I had, but now that I'm getting better at kind of talking about more factual stuff, I want to talk about what this movie was originally marketed as. It was originally called Kingdom of the Sun, and was written by the same guy who directed The Lion King, Roger Allers, and a new guy, Matthew Jacobs, who I didn't do any looking into. They began the development of the project back in 1994. 6 years before it actually came out. Michael Eisner, who was the CEO at the time, said that it has all of the elements of a classic Disney film. And because of his directorial success with The Lion King the same year, Eisner allowed Allers to have free reign of both casting and storyline. January 1994 is when they came up with the idea of an Inca original story. So Kingdom of the Sun was to have a tale of a greedy, selfish emperor who was still voiced by David Spade, who finds a peasant who was originally voiced by Owen Wilson, which would have been wonderful, just to hear him say, wow, over and over again. And the idea was that it was basically a twin. They looked identical. And the Emperor and him swap places to escape the boring life and have fun. And it's kind of like the Prince and the Pauper tale that was written by Mark Twain. And was also adapted into a Mickey Mouse short. Of course, the villainous Yzma has plans to summon Supay, the evil god of death, and destroy the sun so that she may become young and beautiful forever, the sun which gives her wrinkles, so she surmises that living in a world of darkness would prevent her from aging. Alright. During his time as emperor and doing Yzma's order, the pauper falls in love with the emperor's soon-to-be fiancée, Nina. which ironically, some of the story sounds like it actually happened in Emperor's New School. I recently rewatched the whole series on Disney Plus. Now that I think about it, there was Melina, who was, Cusco's love interest, and then there was a character introduced. I can't remember what his name is, but he kind of had the same look as Cusco and was there as kind of an antagonist. So that's interesting. So meanwhile, the Emperor gets turned into a llama. Obviously, still happens in the actual movie. And the Emperor Llama learns humility in his new form and even comes to love a female llama herder named Mata. I don't know who the voice actress listed here is Laura Prepon. Never heard of her. So that's just kind of the basic story. So what happened was, Pocahontas and the Hunchback of Notre Dame performed poorly at the box office. And that's not to say they did terrible, but they didn't do as well as your Lion Kings, your Aladdins, your Beauties and the Beasts, your Little Mermaids. And after test screenings, they found that the audience felt the movie was too serious and needed more comedy. In 1997, producer Randy Fulmer had contacted and offered Mark Dindal, who had just wrapped up work on Cats Don't Dance, which is a Warner Brothers movie, and he was going to be co-director for Kingdom of the Sun. So Roger Allers contacted Sting to perform the soundtrack after Elton John's groundbreaking performance on the Lion King soundtrack, which I'm just realizing I forgot to mention, but we're not going to get too much into that. So he composed several songs and agreed to sign on. He agreed, but the condition that his filmmaker wife, Trudy Styler, could document the process of the production. The film, which was eventually entitled The Sweatbox, was made. I don't know what Zinju Films is. It must be some foreign film company. Oh, their own production company. So Sting ended up composing 8 songs for Kingdom of the Sun. In the summer of 1997, it was announced that Roger Allers and Dindal would serve as the film's director. Spade and Eartha Kitt had been confirmed to voice who was then called Emperor Manco and the villainous Yzma, of course, while Carla Gugino was in talks for the role of Nina. I almost said Melina again. So what I'm hearing is there was no Kronk. My entire time reading that, all I'm thinking is, I'm not seeing a character for Kronk. But wait, what's this? Harvey Fierstein, not the monster Harvey Weinstein. He's a monster. Not this guy, though. This is Harvey Fierstein. I said his name wrong the first time. We'll say it right this time. Fierstein. He was cast as Hukau. Hakua. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Yzma's sidekick. No Kronk, though. So, no likey. Me no likey. That's my Cusco impression. So, obviously, something had to have happened. In the summer of 1998, the film was not as far along as it needed to be to meet the 2000 release date as planned. At this time, one of the Disney executives reportedly walked into Fulmer's office and, placing his thumb and forefinger a quarter-inch apart, angrily stated, "Your film is this close to being shut down." So he went like this. I'm thinking something like this. I'm like, whoa, this is Disney. There's no way that happened. This makes more sense. Fulmer approached Allers and informed him that they needed to finish the film on time or it was being cut. Other companies were already established and started making their own film. You might have heard of a movie called The Road to El Dorado, which was DreamWorks' response. A lot of times Disney makes a call, DreamWorks makes a response, here's Finding Nemo. Well, here's Shark Tale. Here's Kingdom of the Sun / Emperor's New Groove. Here's The Road to El Dorado. Greater example, here's A Bug's Life. Here's Ants. So, obviously, they changed into the better story here, which I think is better, The Emperor's New Groove. So, I wanted to throw that stuff in there, all of that kind of backstory, because this movie went through development hell for us to have this classic underrated movie. And I don't think it deserves to be underrated, but unfortunately, it is. It's extremely underrated, and I don't like that. On to more stuff about the actual film itself. The voice acting is all great. David Spade is so cocky and so arrogant in real life, and I love him. I'm not saying that as a negative thing about David Spade. I'm saying that he is such a great person, but he's so great at these cocky characters, and he eventually went on with Patrick Warburton to be in a show called Rules of Engagement, which was a romantic comedy show that lasted, I want to say, like 5 seasons. I watched it, and I have not watched it in so long, and I want to watch it again. I got to try and find it somewhere. You can also feel the relationship budding, or the friendship more budding between Kuzco and Pacha as the movie goes along, and that's one of the things that I think this movie really sets up well, is that, hey, we're not so different. You may be rich and powerful, and I may just be a peasant, but deep down, we are not different. And then, boom, he helps Kuzco, even though Kuzco's like, I don't want your help, I don't need your help, I don't need you. He's treating him like garbage, but here's Pacha, the ever-loving person, not giving up. So, the plot is fun. Kuzco gets turned into a llama, similar to how it would happen in Kingdom of the Sun, and he ends up in the woods with Pacha on their way back to the kingdom. Meanwhile, Yzma's trying to take over, but she realizes Kronk screwed up and didn't kill Kuzco. He turned him into a llama. So Kronk and Yzma go on this adventure to stop Kuzco, and there's all sorts of fun shenanigans. It's even a scene where Tico and God, I can't remember the other little kid's name. The boy's name is Tico, and him and his sister are doing jump rope with Kronk, and Yzma's trying to say that she's Pacha's long-lost sister or aunt or something. I haven't watched the movie in a while, but it's one of those I watch so much, I know the plot by heart. I just don't remember all of the characters' names. Also, keeping with the Lion King's dress and drag and do the hula thing, Kuzco dresses up as a woman while he's still in a llama. Don't know how that happened. It's kind of like one of those live-action Scooby-Doo movie moments where they get on the plane and Scooby's dressed as an old lady, and the flight attendants aren't like, hey, that's a dog in an outfit. We should probably do something about that. Nobody does anything here. It's Kuzco in a woman's outfit, and the waitress has just had enough of her day that she's like, whatever. So they end up back at the kingdom, and they defeat Yzma and turn her into a cat, which plays into Kronk's New Groove. Again, I'll talk about that another day. I have some thoughts on it. The music is good throughout the movie, but it doesn't add up to the classic soundtracks that we get, in the Renaissance era. But it's still another good Disney soundtrack. And the animation quality is crisp for a 2000s animated movie. As I said, I love this movie. It's often overlooked, even by myself. When I in the Lion King video, I mentioned that the Lion King is my second favorite, first to Aladdin. How The Emperor's New Groove fits in there, I'm not sure, because that's how often I overlook it. It's like, here's all these movies that are going to overshine your perfection. And I do think this movie is perfect, and that's something I really, really screwed up on with here. So, I gave it a 10 out of 10 when I reviewed it, but I did not give it the Silver Shamrock. Also, forgot to mention in the Lion King video that got it. Oh well. So this also gets a Silver Shamrock, but I didn't award it at the time for whatever reason, but it definitely earns it. And I can understand more so if you haven't seen this one, so I definitely highly recommend you get on Disney Plus and you go watch this. Yeah, you can go watch Kronk's New Groove if you want to. It's not as good. But all the cast comes back, so that's always nice. And you can even go watch Emperor's New School, which is a 2-season, 60-episode series. Funny, too. More directed at kids. I remember watching it on Saturday mornings with my breakfast on ABC Kids, because, you wake up and you remember those Saturday morning lineups in your head. It was always, for me, it went Lilo and Stitch, the series, The Emperor's New School, The Replacement, That's So Raven, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and of course, my bread and butter, Power Rangers. Back when Disney owned Power Rangers. When I do reviews for the 3 Power Ranger movies, I'll get into that stuff. But yes, at one point Disney owned Power Rangers, and that's why we got some of its best seasons. But this movie, back to Emperor's New Groove, this movie rocks. It's funny, it's emotional, it's everything. So it gets a 10 out of 10, and it certainly earns that Silver Shamrock that isn't very coveted, but I think movies that are perfect are going to get them. Yes, it's a pointless reward given by a YouTuber who is just starting out, but I certainly think it earns it. I've been talking for 17 minutes now, so I'm going to let you guys finish your day. Tomorrow we will talk about Beauty and the Beast, and maybe I will do another Disney movie. Maybe I can put a poll on Instagram. You guys can check it out and I'll find something to watch. I'll give you 3 options. You vote on which ones you want to see. So until tomorrow, I'm Luke, and I will see you guys later.